What do you think is the number one mistake we see everybody making in their factories these days?
The biggest one that I see or can't see is the
Contractors are lying all the time. It seems like they just can't tell the truth. What other problems do we see manifesting on the shop floor?
well, we always say quality at the source.
What are some of the high impact solutions for everybody? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Shop Floor with your hosts, Brad and Lynn. And in today's episode, hot off of the IWF show in Atlanta, where we did a full day lean symposium, we did a lot of talking each, and I thought I was going to be the star of the show. And then all of the testimonials came back and said, Hidden Factory. What was Lynn talking about? My number one takeaway was the Hidden Factory. We need Lynn to tell us more about the Hidden Factory. So what I've done is I've trapped her in the studio today, and this episode of On the Shop Floor is going to be all about the
Hidden Factory.
Hidden Factory. So Brad and Lynn coming at you for another 40 minutes or so. Let's jump in. First and foremost, what do you think is the number one mistake we see everybody making in their factories these days?
Well, I think they're focusing on their factories and they are not paying any attention to their hidden factory. So they're leaving half of their productivity untapped.
Okay. Now, first, I think we should define for anybody listening that doesn't know what we mean by hidden factory. What the heck are we talking about when we say hidden factory?
Well, it's a hidden factory because, first of all, everyone has a hidden factory. If you have a business, you have a hidden factory. If you make something tangible, you have a hidden factory and a factory where you make that tangible thing. So the hidden factory it starts at sales. So from sales to whatever it is you're delivering to that shop. So typically we're going through sales, design, estimating, engineering. There's purchasing in there, HR, accounting, scheduling. It's basically everyone in the office that's involved in getting whatever it is you need to the shop floor. In a cabinet shop, it's a job packet or it's a cut list.
Right. And something that we like to tell our customers is, especially in the custom realm, like if you're a custom manufacturer, we would say you are an engineering company with a wood shop in your backyard.
You just happen to make something.
That's right. Yeah, you're an engineering company, and yeah, you have something in the backyard making products. Whereas most people are so hyper focused on the shop, not realizing that, especially in a high custom environment, the hidden factory is bar none more important, I would put forth, than the actual shop.
Well, and it's pretty typical that the hidden factory in a custom environment is robbing the shop of lead time, and they don't even know it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you can't get the stuff, your job packet fast enough, how could you possibly build your stuff fast enough?
Well, we just end up saying, hurry up and build this and hurry. What happens when you tell people to hurry up and build something?
Well, sure. You just build it twice. I heard a great saying the other day, do it nice or do it twice.
At least twice.
Yeah. So I just I'm not sure if we're skipping any steps here, but as we just said that, I just had this idea of what is causing people to only focus on the shop floor is that your hidden factory, your jobs are not coming through the hidden factory fast enough. So your overall lead time, your customer expected delivery time is shrinking every day. So by the time that job packet gets out to the shop, now you've got a finite amount of time to get it done, and the pressure is on in the shop. And all we can see visually is the shop is behind. And it's like, but are they? Did the factory consume that whole lead time? Or maybe are they getting shortchanged on every project because the hidden factory, what would it look like to speed up the hidden factory by a week or two and give the shop a little bit of grace? But we don't see that. And then therefore, every time someone calls us, it's, I need help speeding up the shop.
And what do we say?
And what do we say? Yeah. Are you sure?
Let's look at the hidden factory first. If we speed up your shop, we know your orders are going to dry out. We know the hidden factory is not going to be able to keep up to the shop. So 99% of the time we go to the hidden factory first, and then we go speed up the shop. Once we got a nice big buffer between the hidden factory and we've stabilized the hidden factory, now we focus on the shop.
Right. Yeah. That just happened in my brain as we were talking. I'm like, yeah, it just seems like the shop is always behind. So the right thing to do seems like speed up the shop. But in actuality, could we operate a little better and just buy them some more time? Like give the poor guys a fighting chance. Like
operate a lot better and give them the proper lead time.
Okay, so then what problems are we seeing in the office environment that not paying attention to that hidden factory are causing? Like,
where do we start? Defects in the shop?
No, just in the office.
Oh,
what problems are we seeing
within the hidden factory?
Yeah.
So the biggest one that I see or can't see is flow or absence of flow. So I can pretty much guarantee product is not flowing through the hidden factory. We're always focusing on let's get flow established and see that product moving through the shop. And that's what we're not doing in the hidden factory. So we're picking up projects, we're picking up jobs, we're putting it down, we're waiting. This one's waiting for answers. So there's a lot of confusion and priorities. Jobs are not being processed in order. There's a lot of competing for common resources for my project. There's a lot of over-processing. There's a lot of waiting. There's a tremendous amount of all of the waste in the hidden factory, but we can't see it.
Right, because it's all in computers and everybody looks like they're feverishly typing all day.
Everybody's really busy.
What about, I'm trying to think of some of the things that I've seen, and I'm thinking like information being wrong and the cause of that. And almost every company we've worked with, and this is including my own experiences of 25 years of doing commercial millwork, was the site measuring sucks too. Like, and that people, I don't know if people are realizing that is part of your hidden factory as well. That's where it all starts in terms of getting the information flow through the factory. So we're site measuring in 2024 with like the prints, the plan view prints and writing dimensions on them. And it's just so bad. I can't even tell you. Like, pencils were invented in like 1860 and we're still using them. It just makes no sense. So get your site measuring up to snuff, and that's probably going to contribute to that misinformation traveling through the plant. And we're talking about flow. When we're out on the shop floor, flow is everything. Everything. We look at every piece of equipment. We look at every part in the shop and ask, why is it not moving? And then once we're in the hidden factory, it's just like, oh, well.
In the shop, we're so focused on flow and connecting processes, small batches, because we know smaller batch, smaller lead time, shorter lead time. But same thing in the hidden factory. It all applies. In the hidden factory, where you're working with massive batches, huge lead time through the hidden factory. It's just we're not paying attention to it.
Right.
And it's because it doesn't apply. The standard rules in the shop don't apply because we can't see it. I can't see the carts. I can't see the work in process. I can't see product waiting for days. Like
Speaking of waiting for days, what about waiting for customers forever?
Yeah, so that's extremely common. That's one of the biggest, most common themes that come up in when we're digging into the waste in the hidden factory. And the common reply I get is, well, you know what? It's we're waiting for the customer, waiting for the contractor. There's nothing we can do. And I say, no, there is. Don't accept that. There's lots of things we can do. You can make it easier for customers to make decisions. You can make those design decisions much easier if you have a nice solid process. Don't give them too many decisions. You know, I say it's like walking them down a hallway and closing the doors. Make it easy. Lead them through it. You know, how many times are you buying a kitchen in your lifetime? People don't understand why you have to have the handle decision at the very beginning of the process. So educate them. Have a good standard for how you process those incoming orders. Don't wait for customers to give you decisions. Don't wait for weeks for them to get back to you. This is something you do have control over.
Right. And the other struggles that we see, there's people just get too many projects on the go. And I think that's a product of what you just said. I'm waiting for this job, so I have to pull in this job. And then inevitably I'm waiting for some information on that job, so I pull in another job. And before you know it, I've got 92 projects on the go, none of them going anywhere.
You have just created a massive batch and extended the lead time. And the equivalent of the CNC, just cutting parts all day long and filling up your factory. Same thing, just can't see it.
The other one, and this one's near and dear to my heart. I'd like to apologize to any contractors listening. Is it just seems like, I'll just say it and then I'll clean it up later. But like contractors are lying all the time. It seems like they just can't tell the truth because the mentality is we're just going to pile all the trades on top of each other in this building, let them sort it out because the schedule is too hard to manage or whatever. But it's not that the individuals are, I think, liars. I think the situation is forcing them to just, I don't know how many phone calls I got when we were doing millwork saying, yeah, come site measure, and we show up and the walls aren't there. And I'm just like, how do you do that? I just don't get it.
I think it's part of their training. I'm not
You're
joking.
trained to see invisible walls and tell people about them.
You're trained to assume everyone is going to let you down. So now you start padding all of your estimates. Everybody is padding their estimates. This is classic in project management. And if you're not, and it's indicative of a serious lack of trust in other people's processes. So if you're dealing with sloppy companies, you do have to lie, right? You're just trying to protect yourself. So in cases like that, there's an easy solution to that. The site's ready, come by and do a site measure. Send me a picture. That's my standard. You send me a picture, I'm good to go. And then and I'll schedule it appropriately. No picture, no schedule. And that's not even like you can educate them and say, this is what our process is. When you first start doing business with a contractor, you can just say, listen, we have our standards all sorted out. This is how we do business, and this is what we require from you and when. So it's not even like you're being mean. I mean, you're really just establishing a solid standard and holding people accountable to it. And the more that you do that, especially in this industry, the more they will trust you. And then, at least you're protecting yourself from a tremendous amount of waste.
Yeah, I've talked to one of my friends has a pretty significant cabinet company, and I believe they send people. There's a podcast on this, so someone could maybe correct me, but I think that they said they send people out to a job site 5 times before they get there to install. And I mean, they do that because they think they need to get it right.
Right.
And so that's their process for getting it right. And that's kind of like, wow, that sounds expensive, but that's what they got to do. So listen, contractors, stop telling us things. Us cabinet makers aren't that bad. We'll figure it out. Stop telling us things that aren't true. What else? What about our drafting departments? It seems like everywhere we go, it's like there's not enough firepower behind that computer drafting. And I'm just wondering why. Like, again, I guess you're just going to tell me because we can't see it. When we go out in the shop and you have a giant pile of parts that need sanding, you look at it and go, we need more sanders, and you hire a sander and you go on to it. But when we're in the hidden factory, you have this drafter who's drowning, can't get out from underneath all the work, and we're just kind of like,
Are you talking about a bottleneck in the hidden factory?
bottleneck? What? Yeah.
Same concepts apply in the hidden factory as they do the shop floor. You have a bottleneck in your hidden factory. Where do you want your control point? How do you elevate your bottleneck? You staff up, you automate, right? You want to know, establish that control point. If it's in engineering, then figure it out. You're either hiring more people or implementing some sort of technology. And if you reduce your batch size, you will reduce your lead time as well. So do that first. Reduce your batch size first, and then figure out, where should we have our control point, and then watch that. And then what do we need to do to elevate this control point?
We can't emphasize enough to people that the rules are identical. It's not like they're close and you have to modify them, or you have to learn the 8 deadly waste plus 1, or it's literally verbatim every single rule that we apply and know, and listen, you've probably been at it for a little while in your shop, so you get it. And now you've practiced where you can see it. Now we just have to flip it into a realm where you can't see it, but the rules don't change.
They don't, and it amazes me. I find it shocking. People that have been thinking lean for a long time and practicing for lean for a long time, I know they get it. I know they understand bottlenecks. I know they understand control points and batch sizes and the 8 deadly wastes. But they just don't even consider that they have another factory, and that all of the same principles apply in the hidden factory. The problem is lack of visibility into the waste in the hidden factory and the lack of flow.
Right, which we're going to dive into in a few minutes to kind of like create some clarity around that for everybody listening. But before we do that, we still want to talk about what problems are we experiencing on the shop floor that are caused in the hidden factory, that start in the hidden, well, all of them start in the hidden factory. That's a giveaway. I'll give you guys that one. All your problems start in the hidden factory. So what other problems are manifesting that we're focused on only like, oh, we got to fix that in the shop, but not realizing, wait a second, back that up. Because one of the things that I notice every single time, and it's a little test you could do out in your own shop if you were curious. Just go ask everybody, if we could get one thing to speed up the shop, what would it be? And 99% of the time, they'll look at you and they'll be like, give me good drawings. Like, give me a cut list that's right every single time. And at that point, you realize it's not fair to ask the shop to go faster. We can't say, hey, you go faster, fix your process with all of this misinformation or broken information or stuff that they have to figure out along the way. So getting that feedback from the shop immediately tells you where you need to start. So you head back up there and, okay, so back to what other problems do we see manifesting on the shop floor?
Well, we always say quality at the source, and that's because not all the defects are coming from the hidden factory. Quality at the source means go back to the source of the defect, but a lot of them are bleeding out of the hidden factory into the shop, and that's lack of clarity. Maybe the job's not ready yet, but we're saying, hey, hurry up and get it started and we'll get you the answers soon. Ooh, or you make some assumptions and they're not correct, or poor design. Poor design, and the guys are out there, they're like, oh yeah, we're putting it together like this, but if it was up to us, we wouldn't design it that way. I don't know. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I don't know why the architect or the designer did it this way. If they had to build something, they wouldn't have done that.
Every cabinet maker on earth just nodded their head like, yes, we've all been told how to build a cabinet by an architect who has never built a cabinet in their life. But I digress. Okay. So the issue here. Go
another
ahead.
one is we started making. We issued the order out to the shop, but we don't have everything we need to make it. That's another big one. Even if all the information's correct and I start making it, now I can't finish making it. Now I have to take it offline. Now I've disrupted the whole schedule in the shop. Lots of questions, lots of interruptions. Now the stuff that's hanging around waiting for the glass to come in or the handles to come in is now subject to handling damage or getting lost. And that happens.
Definitely can relate to that. And then when you're the owner or manager and you're walking around and you see that stuff, because that's disorganization in the hidden factory manifesting in the real world out on the shop floor,
right.
You immediately blame the shop floor. You're like, oh, what do you guys, how come we got all of this stuff piled up everywhere? And you think that the problem's on the shop floor.
And that's just, I ask everybody to look at every cart with parts on it as giant piles of $100 bills. That's just cash tied up now, just sitting around waiting.
Waiting for nothing, because it could have been fixed.
Well, but let's take that scenario. The cabinets are offline. They're waiting for some handles or they're waiting for some glass, whatever it is. A week later, someone's asking questions about it. So, I don't know. I think something was put like the conversations that are going to keep happening. And then someone's going to make their way back up to the hidden factory, open up the door, interrupt a bunch of people, ask them the question again. When's that stuff coming in? We should have got it last week. Now we're all walking out to receiving. It's insane if you follow it. If you follow those scenarios around and see the amount of interruptions and questions and wasted motion, it's crazy.
I've been part of it. I've witnessed it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think everybody listening will be like, yeah, that sounds like my shop.
And then we're not even talking about the frustration yet. That has a big effect on morale.
Oh, for sure. And I think to tie that back into the question of the drafters, like we're not putting the firepower we need in the drafting office. And I say drafting, it could be production engineering, whatever you call the people that are getting that job packet ready and telling purchasing what they need and all of that stuff, is not understanding the cost of not fixing that problem. So not understanding the cost of what a defect is, a part made wrong in the shop. We look at it and we're like, oh, it took them half an hour to fix it and it was like one piece of wood. And we're like, but if that happened at our bottleneck operation, if it was an hour, that's not the guy's hour on wages. That's an hour of throughput for your entire factory. So this could be literal it will be in any size shop, and the bigger the shop, the worse. But this will be literal thousands of dollars. And if this is happening once or twice a day in your shop, and I challenge anyone listening, if you have a shop and you produce less than 3 defects a day, I want you to phone me. My number is 519-494-2883, and I will be on an airplane to come document how you're not doing that, because it happens everywhere. I know for a fact at my factory, we track it. And our defects last year in 2023 were $500,000. And I think we're pretty good. So there's no problem that's more expensive in your factory probably to solve. And if putting one more engineer in there to double check everything, triple check everything, or relieve the burden of the guy who's drowning and he's just like, oh, I didn't get purchasing that information because you were yelling at me to get this project done or whatever. That's what I think is the problem, is not understanding the cost of the manifestation in the shop.
It's shocking. Every single place I go, every single factory I go to, I can guarantee that the high-level management and owners do not have a clear understanding of the impact of defects in their operation. And I don't think it's just happening on the day that I'm there.
Right.
I mean, repeat visits, and I'm still seeing a high level, which is why, listen, if we're not measuring, let's start measuring. And I don't need you to count everything, but just measure something. Focus on your top 3 defects. That's all I care about. You'll always be focusing on your top 3 defects, but that's another thing we don't do well in the Hidden Factory. What are you measuring? How do you know you're doing well? How do you know? Your shop will always slow down to the rate they're being fed. So if your Hidden Factory is struggling, your shop is going to slow down. They don't have a choice. Where's the buffer? So when I'm working with a company, I make sure that there's a buffer between the Hidden Factory and the factory. It's consistent. We can all see it. We all know if it's getting low, we need to stop concentrating on sales coming into the building, and we need to get some of our current sales across the finish line into that buffer so that shop doesn't slow down.
And I mean, as you're talking, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. We got somebody somewhere is calculating labor, and somebody somewhere is telling them how much we need to produce to stay in business. So let's just pick a number and say we need to make 50 cabinets a day to stay in business. Now, the production guy is saying, okay, and for that to happen, I need 3 people in my breakout area. I need 3 people assembling. I need, whatever the math works out to be. And he's saying, I need this amount of labor on the shop floor to do that. So we staff up for that. And then if the Hidden Factory is being starved, we're not feeding it fast enough at that rate. We're then overstaffed on the shop floor, but the target doesn't change. So this could be a hint in the direction of why our labor costs are always so wildly out of control, is we've staffed up our shop mathematically correct to do the throughput we need, but we're not getting it through the Hidden Factory.
We're not feeding them at the rate that they need to be fed.
That's right.
Right. And it's just like, there's a series of operations in the Hidden Factory just like there are in the shop. So we just need to look at it the same way. We just need to expose the waste in the Hidden Factory. We need to reduce the batches and reduce our lead time.
All right. And that is a perfect segue to let's get into some solutioning that we've seen, we've done, we've implemented. So what are some of the high impact solutions for everybody who is like, okay, guys, I get it. My Hidden Factory sucks. I'm on board. But now what? Like, what do I do to fix it or to start seeing? I think, like you just said, the number one problem is it's not exposed.
You need to expose the waste. You can't do something. You can't fight something you can't see, right? So the first thing we want to do is acknowledge I have a factory full of waste, and then expose it.
If you had to expose waste in the Hidden Factory, how would you do it?
The tool that I use is value stream mapping. We are literally mapping all of your processes in the Hidden Factory up on the wall with the core team. And it's just, it's a bit tedious in the beginning, but it never fails to amaze me. At the end, what we've exposed, the level of waste, the impact that it would have if we reduce that waste, it's quite shocking. It's one of my favorite things to do because of that.
And I guess if you're listening to this on a streaming app or something, flip over to YouTube. I'll make sure that we put some B-roll of what a value stream map looks like on the wall. But, to just kind of give you the idea, we're talking about, just picture a big blank wall with a sticky note for every single process in your building, every single decision, every single loop back of information. I mean, and what that's doing is that's creating a visual for everybody involved. It's the same as walking out into the shop and looking at the shop floor in operation, and you can't hide it anymore. You're looking at all of the feedback loops, and you're looking like we've done them where it's like two people are doing the same job 5 steps away from each other, and they look at each other and they're like, "You're doing that too?" And like, "Yeah, I'm doing that too." "Oh, why doesn't one of us just stop doing that?" "Okay, deal."
Yeah, that's the other powerful part about the value stream mapping is that team is learning together. They're seeing the waste together. They're surprised by the waste together. They're forming a bond as they go through this together that they haven't spent that much time together before, talking about waste and what bugs them and what irritates them and what frustrates them. And then they're also coming up, we're doing the brainstorming, we're identifying the top 4 problems to solve, breaking them up into teams. They're brainstorming, they're building prototypes, they're testing. By the end of the value stream mapping, we're saying, here's what we're going to do to reduce the waste in these top 4 problems that we come up with. And then there's an action plan with all the just do it's. Here's all the things that we discovered that we need to fix. But we come out of that with an action plan, a clear action plan, with ownership, but an aligned team is coming out of that. And that's another big part of this, right? These guys are going, you know what? We uncovered the waste together. We exposed it. We worked on solutions together. We're committed to those solutions. And we're also giving it our best guess to quantify the amount of waste that's in the system and the amount of waste that we reduced. So we might, the one that I just did with an e-commerce company, it was funny because they don't make anything, right? But we had one complete wall just on their return process. And we mapped everything else on the other walls. But that one wall was the busiest wall with the most what bugs us sticky notes on it. And we're like, there is zero value added in that wall. And that's where most of the waste is. Like visually, you just couldn't ignore that anymore. Wow, let's focus on that. And then the one that I just did this week, I mean, there's just it's like magic, right? You can't unsee it once it's exposed. And now everybody wants to fix it. They're excited to fix it. They see the path. They're like, I'm going to get 4 hours back in my day. Done. Nothing's more important than this. So it creates a level of engagement and commitment to fix those issues as well once you expose a level of waste in there.
All right. So now we're everybody's sold. We're like, okay, value stream map, got it. I'm going to go learn about it. I'm sure there's lots of information in the public domain about value stream maps, and there's probably just as many ways to do them. There's a great book on it called Learning to See by...
Oh, I don't know the author's name.
I want to say John Shook.
I don't know.
Don't quote me on that, everybody. But anyway, so my point is this something that someone should, or would go tackle on their own? Like for everyone listening, like, oh, okay, I'll go do that with my team.
Sure. Just like implementing lean in your shop floor. Go read some books, go watch some videos. Sure. You can do all of it on your own. There's nothing in lean that you can't read about and implement on your own. The struggle, I think, would be you really need to find someone who's good at facilitating, because you're going to have to facilitate a room of people that maybe don't all agree with each other, are maybe not going to put the level of attention on truly mapping the processes. It's a pretty tedious effort, so people will want to give up pretty quickly. So someone who has great facilitation skills, who can guide the team through the problem solving and the brainstorming as well. Yeah,
I mean, we want to encourage everybody to to get out there and try it and run the experiment. This is something that I've personally been through, and it's so critical because what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? The owner is going to go, this is a great idea. The owner is going to try and facilitate this thing, and then he or she turns into facilitator, not participant.
Not participating, but also probably pushing their solutions
Yes.
and not letting the group truly understand the problem and implement their experiment, fail, and learn.
And it's really hard to tell your boss, oh, by the way, I disagree with what you're saying. So you get a lot of filtered answers. So this is something that I would say you probably should get some help with. I mean, you know what? Everybody listening right now, if you've spent $10,000 on equipment, put up your hand, right? And if you're a woodworker, you can't even spend less than $100,000 right now on a piece of equipment. So we've all spent money on steel and electricity, but did that thing, rally the troops? Did it pull together your whole organization? Did it free up hours and hours a day for multiple people? When you pile up the benefits of a facilitated value stream mapping exercise versus the cost, I don't know that there's a better return on investment that we've all participated in.
The other thing is the intangible benefit of typically, if you haven't done a value stream map, I can almost guarantee you that you have a lot of overwhelmed people in your hidden factory that are working really hard, but people are, trying to get them to hurry up, and I need answers to this, I need that. But the value stream mapping really exposes that, and then we're implementing some proven tools to manage the workload and understand the priorities, reduce the batch size, and increase flow and velocity through that hidden factory. And then that takes that overwhelming feeling away from people. Now they have control over their day. Everybody can see the workload. And now we can see it's not about keeping people busy. Just like in the shop, I want to see the product moving. I want to see the product moving in the hidden factory. And we can do that.
Well, now you got my attention with the word cool tools. So what's a cool tool outside? So we've done the value stream map. We're happy. We got our to-do list. What other things are we using to expose waste? What's your favorite thing to implement first?
Kanban board for the management of workflow and to create velocity. The magic in the Kanban board is it's visible. We can see what our priorities are. That's where we can focus on moving the product rather than just keep being busy. But also, that's where we put a limit on your work in process, and that's truly where the power of the Kanban board is. It is the visibility, but also that limit. And then therefore, I can't just go keep pulling new projects in because I love the beginning design phase. That's really cool, and I really don't like asking people to sign a contract and asking them for a deposit, so I put that off. There's lots of reasons why that work's piling up. So the team is in front of that Kanban board, removing obstacles and making sure that those jobs are flowing. That's key.
I mean, it's identical to what we do in the shop with buffer management. Buffer's full, stop working. You can't pull in another cabinet or another part or another anything until that buffer starts draining out. So creating that velocity is paramount, and it's just one of those things that's so missed in the hidden factory. The other thing that I've seen personally a few times that is just, we think it's such a time suck, but it's so worth it in the end, is checklists, but specific checklists for that job, not the 4-page checklist that everybody pencil whips, and because they have to write NA in half of the boxes, so the checklist becomes pointless. the point of the checklist is that it means something and that it's you're taking action on that thing. So you need to have go, no go checklists that your customer is part of, that if you get to this spot and they're not making decisions, they know the project is stopping. This is what's going to happen when we stop it. Does it go back to the beginning? Does it just pause there? Like what's the ramification of not making that decision in time? And more importantly, educating the customer on why does that decision have to be made? Simon Sinek made a whole career out of start with why.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So why don't we do that with our customers? Nobody has a problem making the decision if they understand, like, customers don't build kitchens or furniture or whatever, so they don't know. You know, they think, oh, I can pick the handles last because we'll drill those on site, not knowing that it's not 1972 anymore, and we drill the handles the same time we cut the cabinet parts on the CNC. So we need that specific information at the beginning. So having those checklists and go, no go, and the checklist being specific to the project. If there's no glass in the project, don't have a box that says glass.
That I ordered glass, yeah. So we call that a gate review. And a lot of people are adding that to their Kanban boards now as a column. It can't get past this column. We're doing a quick gate review. Is everything ready? Nope. All right. What are we going to, now how's the team going to make sure we get that ready? How is tomorrow going to be different than today? How are we going to get that moving? It's a team effort, not one guy at his desk going, oh, I got to do that. You can't, it's been exposed now in the morning meeting at the Kanban board. We can't unsee it. Can't forget about it. It's a matter of fact, it's the most important thing we could do today, and we just agreed about that.
And we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Right.
Do I want to be the guy that's like, oh yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the value stream map to really expose it. We've got the Kanban board to start creating flow through the hidden factory, stopping all of those deadly waste, stopping overproduction, stopping overprocessing, allowing us to focus on what's important, all in the effort, all in the favor of flow.
And we haven't even improved a process yet.
Right.
Like, that's just the management of the workflow. That's not even improving the processes. I mean, we're really good at not standardizing in the hidden factory. That's an easy one. Just start standardizing and start getting SOPs. Use the SOPs for training. I mean, that's the next place to go. But improve your process. We haven't even got there yet. But you know what to do. If you're already doing lean in your shop, just do everything you're doing in your shop, in your hidden factory, after you uncover the waste and improve that flow.
And the same thing that's going on in the shop, you have 15 different processes. And in reality, if everyone was cross-trained, you would have a super efficient shop, because it's not usually, it's usually someone just doesn't know how to do something that prevents them from just moving over to the next step. Versus if everyone could just bounce around. But in the hidden factory, it's the same. You have that site measuring going on. You've got drafting going on. You've got purchasing going on. You've got probably 15 things. Are people cross-trained? And how do you know? And do they have any way of telling you that they want to learn this next step, right? I mean, so at my company, we have, anyone who sees our videos, you see this huge training matrix board with circles and squares in it. It visually depicts what's going on with each person and what their talents are. We've recently switched now to Kaizenify. It's all digitized. It's amazing. You put in your departments, your people, and it colors in the circle. It's just like the best thing ever. So anyway, if anyone wants to check out that, it's kaizenify.app. Also, all of our SOPs are now done through there. All of our Kanban cards are done through there. So we're just not having our people in our hidden factory messing around in a Microsoft environment trying to make all that happen.
As a matter of fact, the VSM I just did this week in the hidden factory, one of the issues that came out where the sales guys cannot handle the amount of the workload, and they had 2 other people in the hidden factory that were begging for work. But they couldn't do it because they haven't been trained at that level to do those levels of sales. So the first thing they did on day one was start to create standards so that they could train those people and bring them on. And then we created a training matrix so that we could see who was planning, who's planned for which level of training, for which, because the skills are all listed on the top and the people are listed in the rows. And it's all visual and so easy to see.
Okay, so we've only got two more little things that we mentioned earlier that we probably should just touch on. And of course, the one near and dear to my heart is that whole site measuring business. And there's just so many tools out there, and I just want people to start using them. Stop using your pencil and your measuring tape. Like those tools are done. Get lasers and pictures. If you can mark up a picture, give that to your engineer so they can see if the casing was on the door or the window, so they could see if there was an electrical outlet.
Measure the whole room regardless of whether or not you're doing something on that wall, because
100%.
later someone's going to ask for something and they're going to go, oh yeah, we have that already.
100%.
Don't need to make another site visit.
And when you take a picture of a wall, you can't avoid measuring the outlet and its location, because someone will look at it and go, didn't you see that? Like, as soon as we stopped using paper and started measuring on pictures, it was like night and day. So I want to encourage everybody, use pictures. Take a picture of the wall. There's a million apps. I was just at the show in Atlanta. There's like 5,000 ways to measure a room now that doesn't involve a measuring tape. So stop using measuring tapes. And then the last one was with contractors. Like, you got to just train them. They're people too. I know I was kind of hard on them, but in reality, they got a tough job. So as long as you manage them, they're your customer. You still got to be nice, but give them the standard. Say, when a wall looks like this, there's nothing wrong. Like, we have some applications on our machinery side where, again, we just use Kaizenify, but we give the customers the SOPs. Why have them struggle? So why couldn't you give a contractor your SOP for when a room is ready for the step that you're expecting? And so,
yeah, you could just email him a QR code and he could just scan it with his phone and it comes up.
Yeah, done deal. I mean, there you go. So
yeah, just teach them, have your standards ready for them, guide them. A lot of those problems go away.
All right. Well, we've rambled on for 47 minutes and 23 seconds, and everybody, I mean, we could keep going, but I think everybody wants to get off of this podcast and start implementing their value stream map in their Kanban boards and train their contractors. So we're going to stop talking at you now. But before we go, if there is something interesting in here that you thought you liked or you need help with, we're happy to help. That's what we're here for. Feel free to just text Hidden Factory to
226-971-2144.
So if you text Hidden Factory to that number, we'll get in touch with you and just schedule a little discovery call and find out if, when, and where we can help. So until next time, thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. We hope you found this useful, and we will see you again on the shop floor in another week or two.